If I don't record this now, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to start out with $1 billion. Damn wind want to blow. I'm not going to say that. I'm grateful for that. The Mercury retrograde has brought me a messed up AC, cracked gas line. So I'm thankful for the wind. If I didn't know better, I would be really frustrated. My hair is frustrated. I'm sweating a lot. But this is the perfect time to start a 3-day water fast. You gotta roll with it. You just have to roll with it. If you can understand how to use Mercury, no matter what direction it's facing or if it's stationed and whatnot, and you can really better understand the more heavy hitters, like just a quick, before I get into these values, which is really some heavy, it doesn't seem heavy until I really got into it. So, having been down to the underworld before, I know Pluto is like, let me show you a thing or two. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it actually goes to the underworld to pick up messages to bring it back. That time of retrograde is for you to process the last 3.5 months of what has transpired and really come into an internal understanding of it for things that you have missed. And that's not just for the 3 months prior, but other times when it has gone retrograde and you kind of overlooked things. This is a good time to file your paperwork and to really organize some of the things that kind of get put on the back burner when life is just going at a steadily groove, a steady pace. That's what it's necessary for. So the problems with the AC were already there. It was just not visible until Mercury departed, going retrograde, headed to the underworld. These things that deal with travel and communications between electronics and other components that are supposed to work together, there is a lack of support. So that's why you'll start to see car issues. You'll start to see technological issues with your internet, with your cell phones, with emails, with travel, delays in that nature, because this is what it supports. But also, Mercury actually supports merchants. The caduceus, I mean, he's got a winged aspect to him. Also, a staff with serpents and stuff like that. Like I told you, the caduceus is different than the Asclepius. The Asclepius is assigned to medicine and health with the double serpent. The caduceus with one is a symbol of commerce. So even um, people who deal with even crooks, financial issues, financial things, they have no support when Mercury is retrograde. So you'll find a lot of people who deal with financial theft and stuff like that start to get found out around this time too. So you have to really understand that Mercury and the caduceus and things like that, it protects people who deal with commerce, no matter if it's morally correct or not. So that, like I said, merchants, but even people who deal with finances on an illegal tip, they have been protected by Mercury until it goes retrograde. Anyway, so we got the $1 billion burning. I pulled a couple cards today, and I'm not going to go into the tarot too tough. I'm just going to show you what type of energy is actually at play. This is the energy actually at play. And I'm not wholeheartedly sure that it's just dropping stuff. My pants don't match my shirt. Okay. Not wholeheartedly convinced. That's just a message for me. So I did want to share that. And in the meantime, in between time, I'll just burn one for the ancestors. From mine to yours. And then we'll get into these values. Today we're talking about compassion and challenge. And it took me a minute to really get into that because they are words that we hear all the time, and we have no real level of understanding of the root of them. So I got the etymology breakdown for it as well. Burn one. Ooh, what is that? Oh, that's a lot of smoke. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. So today, with compassion, right? Compassion. Sympathy is a noun, okay? So its placement is as a thing of support, not necessarily an action, okay? Compassion is sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes for others. There's a lot of sympathy being thrown around, right? I had to go deeper. The Latin compati is to suffer with, okay? Now, there's a difference between sympathetic and empathetic. You know this. There's a lot of us here on YouTube that say we're empaths and this and that. Let me tell you why that's dangerous, right? Because empathy is having pity or concern for another. Empathy is showing an ability to understand and share the feelings of others. So all this time, right, instead of having compassion from a detached point of perspective, people have been assigning the use of their own feelings to feel another's feelings. So consider this in your day-to-day life with interpersonal relationships and things of that nature, past partners and lovers and stuff like that. You've been empathetic to the point where you're feeling feelings that are not even your own, and you think that is safe. It's not safe. It's not emotionally responsible to feel all of what another feels. That's actually very invasive confirmation. So it is overstepping a boundary. And people who, and I've been there, I understand, to consider yourself an empath and feel that because you can sense it, that it is okay to, I'm going to say it bluntly, siphon the feelings of other people and then speak to them from the space of their emotion running through you is uh, disrespectful. But that's not the word I was going to use. It's intrusive. Intrusive. No one's asking you to feel responsible for what you're feeling that doesn't belong to you. And if you do so, and you want someone to feel, well, to acknowledge that feeling or to amend it within you, you're on your own. Because you have decided, without permission, to feel the feelings that they're feeling and act, react, and move according to that. That is not having sympathy for a person or showing compassion. That's actually invading their emotional body, their auric space, and drawing in their emotion to feel it within your own being. So these boundaries get put in place because we tend to overfeel. We assume that these are ours and that our feelings aren't being taken into consideration, when in actuality you're trampling or intervening, taking up the energy of someone else's emotional body without their conscious knowing, without their um, ability to consent. And empaths don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. When I realized that truth, it shaped the way that I communicate with other people, what I allow and disallow. I don't want to be taken advantage of either on the physical sense. And a lot of empaths tend to be very vocal about how other people have done them wrong and have misused their kindness, when really it's a double, it's a two-way street. You have, it's like reading someone's diary and reading their personal information, and that the way they feel, that doesn't belong to you. That doesn't belong to you. You don't have access to it with their permission, though you could have read it. That '70s show when Eric went in Donna's um, diary, and he was reading her personal thoughts and personal feelings, and started to act on those things, and it got to the point where she felt disrespected and betrayed. And that's a lot of what is happening that people don't realize. They think it's compassion because they're so open, but they're open to the point where they're overstepping boundaries, and they don't come into the realization of that. So it's very necessary with your empathic ass, empathetically, to not assign feelings that you feel from other people to yourself. Do not assume the position of those feelings. Observe them from afar, sympathetically. But once you act on them as if you were given privilege to them, now you're disrespecting a boundary. And this is why empaths usually feel taken advantage of, and they feel disrespected and things of that nature, because they don't see how their behavior is being reflected to them through somebody's um, ignorance of their boundaries or their worth. It's the same thing. It's on two different levels though. One is emotional body in the auric field, and the other one's the physical body or the mental body. You understand? So it is justified, whether you feel so or not. These situations you have been in are to teach you, not to teach them, oh, this is my twin flame, open up. You're not telling me everything. You're not telling me everything. Well, how did you get this information? You siphoned it. So when you feel like you're losing energy and you have a lack of energy, you've opened up a channel to internally receive feelings and emotions that don't belong to you. So now you're acting on it and you're thinking about it and you're in those emotions, but they have never been given to you. So you're under assumptions, and you're acting on impulses of an emotional body that isn't yours. I want you to share this with your empath friend. I ask you to please, because this is coming from someone who is highly intuitive, who is highly empathetic, but I know the difference. I've had enough experiences to teach me that the boundaries aren't for other people to stop disrespecting me. It's for me to also realize where I've been disrespecting or being intrusive with others. No one's asking you to do this. No one's asking you to feel someone else's feelings and then act on them or try to pry them from them. Okay? Emotional issues that they have going on, that's not for you to decipher, and it's not for you to fix. You are not their doctor. You are not their psychologist. You are not their therapist. So being empathic, and this is how narcissism is bred. Truth be told. Truth be told. Because it's a pull on the emotional and mental body where they can understand empathetically what you like, dislike, need, what your weaknesses are. So when you talk about narcissism, it goes both ways. There's not a separation between narcissist and empath. It is one and the same. One is outward, the other is inward. So they're feeling all these things, the empath, and they're projecting, and the narcissist is picking up, and they're projecting what the empath wants to hear or see, and then depriving. And it goes both ways. It goes both ways. You can't have a person who is healthily empathetic and a person who is healthily narcissistic, it's usually two extremes. And this is why there's so much damage and there's so much chaos. And it leads us into our next value, which is challenge. So to have compassion as a value is to understand your boundary for others, to give them a boundary, but also to enforce one within yourself, to not overstep your welcome spiritually, emotionally, or mentally, using your abilities to feel things, to know things, and to see things that do not belong to you, unless you are paid to do so, unless you are asked to do so. Express permission only. Otherwise, you're being intrusive and disrespectful. It's a value. And when you are seeing it outwardly and it's a constant, this is letting you know that it's internally. That's where it's bred. You can only see outside what is within, right? So it doesn't start with them mistreating you or you feel that they're not telling you the whole truth or anything like that, because you're doing something under a false premise. You're feeling emotions that don't belong to you, and that is a falseness. Okay? Equal and opposite. And it is just. So you may not see these situations with these partners, these lovers, these friends, these colleagues, or whatever, as being just, but in all fairness, it is. Because the very thing that you're doing is being done to you. That is instant karma. And if it's still occurring, you have to reinforce those boundaries with yourself. When you're feeling a feeling, and you were just fine a second ago, this does not belong to me, but what does it mean? You can ask that. You can get clarity on that. But it's not for you to go confront someone and say, I know that you're feeling this, and I know that this is this, and I feel like this, but it's not your feeling. Now you're perpetuating a system, a cycle, an issue that creates chaos and imbalance. They do not feel like they have any privacy. If an empath is constantly feeling their feelings and telling them what they feel, that's the same thing that breeds a narcissist into acting the way that they do, because people have been too intrusive. And I've seen many empaths be on that narcissistic scale, on that extreme, not understanding that it was because that invasion of privacy that they've started to take from others in a physical way, or play these mind games because someone has done that to them when they were on the empathetic side. Someone has used that as a disadvantage to the empath and created the knowing of both sides of how to work this. So just wanted to clear that up. So I don't approve of the term narcissist, and I'm an empath, so I'm the good one and the narcissist is bad. It's one and the same. We're gonna clear that shit up right now. Challenge. Oh no, let me go back. And sympathy is to feel with. I'm here with you. You feel that? Okay, I'll sit with you while you feel that. Okay, that's sympathy. Greek for empathy is empathos, in the feeling. How can you be in the feeling if you're not experiencing it? You take it in your whole being and it changes your physiology and your DNA reacts to it. Your chemicals in your body start to secrete and release responses to things that don't belong to you. So if you start to experience health issues because you picked on the wrong person's emotions, that's your fault. I will never forget, I watched Tales from the Crypt, and a man had he had this newfound ability to touch someone and take everything that they had. And there was another man who had skin cancer who had just won the lottery. I think he was like stage 4 cancer, and he won the lottery, and that's what everybody knew. So the man took that as an opportunity. I'm gonna touch you, empath, and take what you have. He received the lottery ticket, but he also received the skin cancer, the affliction. because he didn't have boundaries and discernment to not take what didn't belong to him. So not only did the man with the skin cancer be like, damn, the ticket's gone, well, fuck that. I don't have skin cancer no more. I'm healthy. And the empath is sitting with autoimmune diseases, sitting with anxiety issues, sitting with depression, constant dark nights of the soul, feeling lost, because you're not in your own energy, you're in somebody else's. So you don't have a clear understanding or a clear view because you have assigned all their afflictions to yourself for the sake of feeling empathy and being close to another. You see where I'm getting at? Do you see it? Okay. I think I made myself clear. Challenge, an objection or query as to the truth of something, often with an implicit demand for proof. Old French, that's the closest definition to the word we have now. Challenge from Old French is associated with accusation. Latin, calumnia or calumniate. Calumny, the making of false and defamatory statements about someone in order to damage their reputation, or slander. Slander coming from scandal. Okay? So when you're at odds with something and feel a sense of challenge, it's because it defies what you hold as truth, or you don't have enough proof definitively to accept this thing. So there's a source of conflict and challenge. And I keep thinking about the Five of Wands and the Tarot and how everybody is at odds, because the truth to one person and the truth of another person are not meeting to the same truth. They all have their own version of the truth, their own sense of how things should be done. So it also uh, goes back to a sense of on-the-job training in a competitive field, learning things that challenge the truth that you know. So you're picking up more information, and you have to start, you really do have to check and gauge what aligns with the truth and what does not, and why. Why do I feel this conflict and challenge? Why is this so drastic? And why does this affect what I know to be true? That's where the challenge comes in. And we start to think about it, we start to feel it, and it's like something about this isn't right. So there's a challenge with defending what we know to be true. And that can be for better or for worse. Because if it's a truth that is long withstanding, it's gonna take more to actually come to a consensus. People are so adamant that truth cannot be. I saw a photo, and it was a sphere, not a sphere, a cylinder, and the light shined on it from two different angles. One wall showed a square because it was short. It showed a square, and the other one showed a circle because it captured that side. The other one captured the length of it. Okay, so both walls said truth. It was one shape with two different projections, but they were both true. That is the sense that I'm getting here. That just because it doesn't um, look exactly like you envision it, or um, have the same, it doesn't look the same. It may not look the same from your point of view. Doesn't mean that it's not the truth. This and that can be true at once. This being true doesn't make this false. So that's the type of thing I want you to open your mind to when it comes to these values, because we're challenging a lot of things and justifying it with something that is true too, but we're not understanding why the other thing is true. Acknowledge that there's truth in multiple facets of the same thing. And we see that right now playing out on a global scale. Okay? There's truth. It doesn't make, just because there's opposition doesn't make either one false. There's truth in it. Find the truth. When you find the truth, you can accept the truth, and everything else is just variations and skewed perspectives. Okay, so value your ability to even question your own beliefs. Challenge everything that you know, see, feel, touch, to really understand that somebody else can have a different understanding than you. When you accept the different facets of yourself that you yourself can challenge, the ideas that you've been taught, habits that you have, ideas and ideals that you have, then you can start to see how the world outside of your own psyche actually operates. So there's less of a challenge when you're the one who checks yourself at the door. Instead of saying this is wrong, say, okay, this can have truth in it. It's not necessarily all false. Let me find the truth in it, and everything else can be weeded out. We can separate the truth from the falseness, and that will alleviate defamation of character. That will alleviate scandal, blame, false accusations, and things of that nature. So accountability of the self when it comes to things that are challenged is what's necessary first, because a lot of people will react off of defense of an idea, defense of a belief. Once you challenge it and you can see the truth, you can state the truth about it, and that will sometimes, most times I see, it'll shut shit down. So there's no confusion. This is the truth of it. Even though this is how I got to my truth. And the person that you're interacting with or people that you're interacting with, okay, denying the truth, that's a whole nother ballgame. If you can get to the truth will resonate with people, even if the idea doesn't. They understand that there's truth in it, and that's what will be respected. That's what will not be challenged. So that's where you want to focus that value to get to the truth, so that there's no defamation of character, so there's no scandal, so there's no conflict in that regard, because they're going to, debunk the whole thing if you give reason why you came to your truth. They're going to try to pick apart and refute all of your justifications. So if you have none and just say, well, this is the truth, and they're like, okay, I agree, that is the truth, but why do you think so? Then you get into the idea. They'll still be meeting you with the truth. Everybody wants this thing, Five of Wands. Everybody wants this thing, but the truth of why they want it is different. Their justification for wanting it is different. I have an Italian deck where the Five of Wands is called ambition. It's not about conflict, it's about ambition. And it's about gaining the foothold of having a clear sight for the right reason. That's why, like, the last man standing in the Six of Wands is the one who was working in truth. That's why he's exalted, if you ask me. So from ambition to triumph, the one that prevails is truth itself. And this will alleviate challenge and scandal and the conflict that ensues. So that's all I have for today when it comes to these values. Well, it's been a tough week. Tough for the old me. And the new me is like, I've died many deaths, man. So it's like just looking back at my past, it's like living 4 different lifetimes within one lifetime. There's different ages and stages. Mind you, every 7 years, all of your cells within your body are different than the ones from 7 years prior. They have died and regrown. So just like taste buds, they change over time. It's kind of like that. I can see it on a grand scale, and I know I'm getting on my empath friends and things like that, because at one point I was professing, you know, how being an empath was this or that and whatnot, but it comes with true wisdom and experience to understand that that's not justified either, to be in that stance, in that station. And it's a very receptive station. And what you're picking up is everything: affliction, addiction, bad habits, mental patterns, things that don't belong to you, because we've assigned other people's shit to ourselves. So once you really start to get to know yourself and you know what is yours and what isn't, what feels like you and what doesn't, when you start to isolate those emotions, those feelings, those thoughts, those those messages, then you'll know, okay, well, shit, this is you having a leak in your aura in order to receive from other people, and at the same time, it's draining out of you to people siphoning from you. So it's equal and opposite. That's why you will feel drained. That's why you will need to decompress when you go out in public. If your aura is not fortified, and I do aura clearings and strengthenings and different things like that because it's very important. I work with the public, so every day I'm at the mercy of whatever is around me if I don't have a strong aura in place. If I have holes in my aura, it's going to leak out, and other people are going to pick it up, but as well, I'm going to pick up what they've got going on, and it's going to follow me home. Then it'll be in my home. It'll be on the other people who I reside with. So you really have to understand that it's not just you that you're protecting. You're protecting others from you, and you're protecting you from others. This is what is necessary when dealing on a spiritual plane, because it's a war out here. If you didn't know it, spiritual attack is very real. But if you're so receptive to others that you're picking up everything that they've got going on, you're already susceptible. You're already out there without your proper armor on, and you have no real weapon because you're using it for the wrong reasons. Your empathy is not to take on and embody it. Use that when it comes to the spirit, something positive, because you can amplify it and make it more, and you can get energy from it without draining it. You can amplify it and magnify it when two or more gather. But when they're in opposition and it's, I'm taking this and I'm giving you that, and it's not equal in exchange, and it's not like itself, it will cause a deficit somewhere. And we usually feel more emotion and less energy. And they get less emotion because you're taking it, and more energy. They get amplified with something that actually belongs to you. So, in the moment you're receiving something, you're also giving it. Be careful, y'all. I'm telling you, shit's about to get really, really real. But I needed to say that. And I need everybody who considers themselves empaths, a lot of readers. I've seen a lot of readers do this. And they'll be so engaged in a community collective that wants to receive readings and get more and get more. I've seen signs being read for that will control a reading because they're so enthralled and they want to receive. It drains the reader, and they end up having to take a break, or they end up feeling all out of sorts and out of whack. I've warned a couple of readers. I said, man, you got to guard you. You're being so giving and so generous that people don't even know that they're taking more than they actually need in the name of empathy. And I've seen it turn for the worse, where people are getting cussed out in comments because they're not giving enough. It's a feeding, okay? So, and these are empaths that are showing narcissistic behavior to the readers who are giving up energy. So I said what I said. I said what I said, and I meant every word of it. We got down to the root of it. This is why I do the etymology, so you can understand the real basis of where these words stem from. When we're speaking, we want to be very deliberate because the universe responds to vibration. So no longer calling myself an empath. I know that I have the ability to feel, but I also have the discernment to know what is mine and what is not. So I'll acknowledge a feeling and I'll let it dissipate. I don't have to absorb it. My physical body, my physical well-being, my auric body, my emotional body, my mental body is not for anybody else to tamper with, and it's not for me to pick up somebody else's shit and be confused. Because I think I think this way and I'm directed this way, but I'm allowing somebody else's skewed vision, skewed perspective, or they're headed in the opposite direction to confuse and convolute, scramble my signal to the universe. Okay? This is what social distancing has been for me for the last 5 years. So if I have to purge a friends list, if I have to recreate my Instagram by deleting and unfollowing people, so fucking be it. Go through my phone, deleting numbers, deleting old messages, hell, deleting old emails, pictures. There's certain things that I won't hold on to because the attachment of something, even a photo, a physical object like that, text messages, you still have an open feed with another person. Friendships that you didn't define and make clear-cut boundaries, they can still access you. You're thinking about all these random people that pop into your mind, and it's them conjuring you up in thoughts, looking at your pictures, thinking and feeling whatever, and you get the byproduct. So if I see a reading that talks about black magic, if I see a reading that talks about karmic, if I see a reading that talks about jealousy and hatred and things like that, I'll keep scrolling. No, thank you. No, thank you. I disallow it. Not taking that into my environment. Because whatever somebody else is feeling about me is not my concern. It's how I feel on a day-to-day basis that matters. Because that's what I'm giving everybody in my environment willingly with boundaries. So I'm not going to accept something that I don't want, like a karmic, like jealousy and envy, like being ghosted. Fuck all that. It may be in your or my best interest for a motherfucker to go their own way and not say anything. Why? Because it could be detrimental. If you're using empathic abilities to pick up shit that don't belong to you, what is there to say? If you know everything, if you can feel everything, I really don't have to speak to you then. Didn't think about that? Have you thought about that? So, with this new perspective, with this new information, when it comes to these values of compassion and challenge, just piece by piece, take your time and really apply them to different areas of life where you may have felt slighted, challenged, where you felt like your compassion was taken advantage of or disregarded, and reanalyze them in the fullness of what they can be. So yeah, and that's that. I have some more Akashic Clearing scheduled, so whew, um, I've got to get busy. The tarot readings and stuff, we know this is an addiction for a lot of people, so that's why they are priced at $75. The Akashic Clearings are, I mean, it'll be listed below and all that. So whatever you feel you need, when you reach out to me, understand and know that we're going to really get into it. And I'm not going to hold anything back from you because I value you. The values in me are going to show when it comes to you. So I'm going to talk to you like you're somebody I care about. And I'm going to give you the truth. If I give you anything else, I mean, hell, you'll still be purchasing readings from 10 different readers because you still don't resonate fully with the message. This is why I don't overdo tarot. This is why I don't overpost. Feelings are fleeting. Transits are changing. So if every week you're watching something and they start to conflict, well, you said last week he was coming, and you said this week I was getting ghosted, and then you said people are relying on everything other than themselves. They have no true discernment of guidance. So this is why I want my channel to stay small. Because the only people who see this shit is who needs to see this shit. That's it. I don't need no unnecessary followers. I don't need anybody who's jumping on a spirit wave and hoping that somebody's going to lie to them week after week. My phone doesn't ring now because when people call me, they need me. They need the truth. And once you have the truth, work in that truth until you come to another stall and you're like, okay, I'm missing something. Make it clear for me because I'm missing something. I know the truth is there, but I just can't seem to grip it. And that's where I come in for clarity purposes, clarifying, analyzing, breaking it down, and really showing it in layman's terms, something that was always there that they just kept missing. That's what I do. So if you come to this channel looking for readings pumped out every week about your zodiac, you might want to contact me on a personal basis because you damn sure ain't going to be overfed and watered down. And that's just how I run my business. Given an access of excess, you really have no clear understanding, no real boundaries, no real guidance. You have people expecting to be told their next step. I'm not building a team like that. I don't lead anybody like that. I want you to be equipped with the tools that you need, from a magician to a magi apprentice. I want you to have the tools necessary. This is the cultivation of the Magi Nation. Book coming soon, and I will talk to you all later.